Friends, welcome back to the Civic Chats. I'm very excited to start over with this short yet very meaningful conversation with a friend and colleague, dear Monica Skoko, who is the president of the League of Women Voters and the director of the Miami Commission for Women here. So Monica, welcome. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
We're so excited to have you. And look, I know you're such a powerful woman and you wear so many hats, but I'm not sure if the viewers know about you. So I would love for you to tell us who you are and what you're up to in the city.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I am the director of the Commission for Women at the county, and my goal there is to advocate for all women across our county and to make policy recommendations with the Commission for Women Board that would improve the status of women. And at the League of Women Voters, our goal is empowering voters and defending democracy, and that's really been on display this year.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. And today is a big day. We've been hearing October 5th as the big registration deadline for people to vote in Florida. So I want to get us started by hearing from you, Monica. Why is this important? Why is it important for people to be registered to vote and vote?
It's so important because voting can seem like this thing that you're so detached from and doesn't really affect your life. But there are so many ways that it can affect your life. For example, let's say that you don't like any of the candidates on the ballot. Forget about president. Let's say you just hate everybody on the ballot. There is a question on the Florida ballot asking if you'd like the minimum wage to be raised incrementally to $15 an hour. That will change lives. That could change your life. So it's things like that. There is so much on the ballot. And I know this is a presidential election year, but you have a strong voice, especially we are in Florida. You have a chance to make a difference and make a difference locally too. Local elections are up. There are commission seats and the mayoral seat that often, unfortunately, could be decided by a couple hundred or a couple thousand votes.
Awesome. So I love the perspective in terms of everybody will be affected by whatever decision we all make collectively that day. So is this something everyone in our community can do? Are we all allowed to vote?
So something that we at the League are fighting hard against is voter disenfranchisement. And it's no wonder that a lot of groups, especially Black and Brown communities, feel their vote is not heard because historically, it has been thwarted. So our job at the League and many of our partner organizations like Radical Partners, we are fighting to re-enfranchise folks. So whether that means returning citizens who may have committed a felony and have served their time, we are trying to get all of those folks registered to vote. We are fighting against a essentially poll tax that has been levied by the courts for our returning citizens. Everyone should be able to vote, and you are absolutely right that not everyone is able to.
Can you tell us a little bit more about those barriers, Monica? Like, why has it been so hard for certain groups? And I would love, just because I know you know all these things, historically, what has that meant? How has it looked like? And in 2020, which is a very odd year for many reasons, what do those barriers look like?
Well, you don't have to go back very far. This year was a huge celebration, rightfully so, for the 100th anniversary of women getting the right to vote. But that was not the full story. So Black women stayed disenfranchised for decades later until the Voting Rights Act. There were other marginalized peoples, Native American groups, Asian women that were not allowed citizenship. So they couldn't vote. If you have the power to vote, I see it as a radical act. I see it as using your voice for all of those years that your voice was purposefully silenced.
And as I hear you, Monica, I cannot help but think that some of the words you're using and some of the things you're saying have a political tone in a country like this. So I do want to emphasize that the conversation you and I are having is how can we make sure that everybody that lives in the US can have a voice, whatever they decide for that voice to be, whatever they decide for that vote to be. But we want to make sure that whomever is representing us in power represents the community. So I just wanted to say that out loud because I wouldn't be surprised if some of the viewers think you and I are too radical. And when it means being radical, it means we want transformative change. We want positive change that's only reflective of the community. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts about that.
Yeah, and like you said, the League of Women Voters is completely nonpartisan. I don't care how you vote. I just care that you are voting in an educated and informed way. And that's my job, to make sure that everyone who's eligible to vote feels empowered with that knowledge. And then my second job is getting more people eligible and ready to vote. And then when you think about it, it's a very historical context. What is radical or not? We're having that taxation without representation talk regarding Puerto Rico and DC right now. So some of these ideas that sound radical now, and they're not as radical as we may believe them to be. In the 1700s, a lot of those ideas that our country was founded on were very radical then too, and now they're sort of lauded for their bravery.
And that's what we're looking for, right? Like we're looking for all of those brave US citizens who are eligible to vote to get out there and do it, because it can definitely be transformational. Whatever you believe in, whatever you want to strive for, this is a very important year and we have a great opportunity in our hands. So speaking of which, Monica, I want to emphasize that today is the last day for people to register to vote so that they can vote in the next elections. Can you tell us a little bit more how to go about that? Where can they go? What does one need? How long does it take? Tell us everything to make sure that we're pushing more people to register to vote today.
Yeah, luckily it is an incredibly simple process. If you have a state ID or a social security number, you can go onto the Supervisor of Elections website and register online. Because we're in that presidential election year and lots of folks are pumped up, you can go on, for example, your favorite sports team, the Miami Heat or the Dolphins, they will have a link to register to vote. You can go on, I'm sure, Radical Partners website or the League of Women Voters. There are so many places to register to vote. You could go to Register to Vote Florida. So there are a lot of avenues to get you there. And if you have a state ID or the social security number, you can do it completely online. And if you don't, you can do it by going directly to your Supervisor of Elections office in person, or you can print out a form and mail it in.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Monica. And the good thing is that votemiami.org is the place where you can find all those links, right? So if you go to votemiami.org, you will find the links to the League of Women Voters, to the Florida registration sites, and all of the other partners that are definitely helping and making it easy for people to register. So if there's one thing you can remember votemiami.org, that you need to register before midnight tonight. And I'll pass the mic to you, Monica, to see if you want to wrap this up by telling people what to do with this information and what to do with the conversation that you and I just had.
First of all, if there's somebody out there who this is going to be their first election, congratulations. I am so excited that you've taken the plunge to register to vote. I would say that it's really important to make a plan. Learn what's on your ballot once you've registered. You can go to vote411.org, and we have a nonpartisan, the League of Women Voters has a nonpartisan candidate survey that we send out to everyone with a voter guide. So you can really read what the candidates believe, what their platform is, and make your own decision apart from all of this bias that's running around. And I would also encourage people to know that voting is safe. If you choose to take the plunge and take part in this system, you and your community could greatly benefit from it.
Thank you so much, Monica. This was very informative. And now we have a lot of homework to do. And for those of you out there, just like me, that cannot vote in the US, you also have things to do in this country, right? Like you could right now encourage your families and friends to do this, but you also can get to learn about these candidates. Who are they? How can we hold them accountable? And how can we make sure that we ourselves are being represented as we move forward?
Have those talks, not just post something on Instagram. Talk to your friends and family, see where they're at and what's important to them.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so, so much, Monica. And we'll see how many people take a look at this video. And if you do end up registering today, let us know. It will make Monica and I very happy.
Yes, definitely.